Mogul Motivation, empowering and inspiring entrepreneurs and dream chasers worldwide, 1 week at a time. Presented by True Stories Media. And I am your host, Antoine Twiz Taylor. Hello everybody, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mogul Motivation. Welcome back. I'm happy that you are here. If this is your first time listening, this podcast is for the aspiring entrepreneur trying to get over that hump and make things happen. This podcast is for anybody with a dream that wants to go forward and accomplish that dream. Whatever platform you're listening to this podcast on right now, whether it be Apple, iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube, please do me a favor and subscribe. And this is episode 479. Today's date is December 4th, 2024. We're coming up to the end of the calendar year. It's been a long year, but it's also been a quick year. And the seasons have been changing. With the seasons changing, the days become shorter and the nights become longer. Sunset is around 4:30, 5 o'clock, if that. Nightfall settles in. Right now here in Chicago, it's dark outside. But not only is it dark outside, the wind is raging. The AccuWeather app said that 40 miles per hour winds tonight. That's just pretty crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily hurricane level, but it's still wild, especially here in a heavy, dense metropolitan area. And we're living right off the lake. We got that lake effect. So this is just part of the things that come with the changing of the seasons. The days being shorter, the nights being longer, the weather getting spookier, getting colder, more frigid, temperatures dropping to below zero. These are the things that come with the changing of the seasons when winter sets in. And because there's a lack of vitamin D, because the sun isn't shining as much as it used to, as long as it used to, because you're not on a hot, beautiful beach, a lot of people tend to have more dim lights, metaphorically speaking, in their spirits. A lot of people tend to not have the same energy that they have throughout the year. I'm one of those people. I can attest to that. A lot of people suffer from seasonal depression. I have said that I suffer from seasonal depression on this podcast many times in the past. But not only is it seasonal depression, it's also situational depression. For a lot of self-employed individuals, for a lot of entrepreneurs, for a lot of people who have a goal and a dream, which I assume is everyone, right? When you are committed to that, when winter hits, things usually slow down. And that's not just a you problem. That's just how nature is. Because you look at nature, you look at a lot of animals. A lot of these animals tend to hibernate throughout the winter months because things are slow. It's not enough food to hunt. It's not enough greenery and livestock flourishing as it is throughout the spring, the summer, and even the fall. So the winter slows down, not just for you, but for everybody. Everybody runs into hurdles. Everybody comes to suddenly an abrupt stop, it feels like. And because of that, you feel situational depression in addition to your seasonal depression. But I would like to say on this episode that the situational depression trumps the seasonal depression, because the seasonal depression is some things that we can't control, right? You can't control the changing of the seasons. That's inevitable. It's going to happen one way or another every single year, whether you like it or not. But you can change or approach, should I say, the situations that you are in. Situational depression is the monster that we are going to conquer on this episode. Because the problem is you have no happiness at the moment. The problem is you have no joy. Your enthusiasm is low. Despite all the success that you have enjoyed throughout this year, despite all of the high points throughout the year, now you are at a low point, and because you're at a low point, you can't really maintain that same joy and that happiness that you had in the summertime, that you had at the beginning of the calendar year. Things are slowing down, and not only are things slowing down around you, but things are slowing down inside you. And when things are slowing down inside you, you start to question yourself. You start to think that you're doing something wrong. You start to think that you're lacking. You start to think that everything that you tried to do or attempted to do earlier in the year did not work and you failed to prepare. Let me tell you something. Nobody is perfect. Regardless of what you are chasing, whether it's an entrepreneurial goal, regardless if it's a money situation, a career goal, a personal goal, if you fell short, if you still have not accomplished that, do not start to question yourself and do not allow that doubt to creep into your mind. Because once you allow that doubt to creep into your mind, once you begin to question yourself, you start to rob yourself of your own joy. I talked about this on a previous episode. You're robbing yourself of your own joy. You have to expel that sense of self-thievery, and you have to continue to lift yourself up. Remember every single thing, no matter how minor, no matter how minuscule, no matter how small. Remember everything that you accomplished this year. Remember everything that went your way this year. Remember everything that benefited you this year. Do not allow your mind to brainwash you and twist and change the narrative and make you think that this year was a failure and this year was a waste. You feel that way because things are not going your way in the moment. So therefore you have no joy. You have no happiness. You feel like you have no control. You have no control in the situation. You can't control the fact that the days are getting shorter and the nights are getting longer. You can't control the fact that the wind is raging at 40 miles per hour. You can't control the fact that there is no vitamin D outside. But what you can control is how you approach everything. What you can control is creating that environment. If there's no vitamin D outside, if you can't afford to take a trip somewhere where it is sunny, then you can afford to do other things. You can get a light therapy. A light therapy lamp is something that my own therapist recommended. It's something that's supposed to emulate the sun. It's supposed to give you that same feeling that you are in a sunny environment, so therefore it picks up your spirit. You can control how you wake up in the morning, ladies and gentlemen. So when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you need to do is not brood over your situation. The first thing you need to do is take control of your situation. Start your morning off with gratitude. Start your morning off with thanks. Start your morning off with reflection over all those wins that I just talked about that you did experience and achieve this year. Start your morning off with the Bible. Start your morning off singing a good song. Start your morning off with everything that's going to be pure and lift your spirits up, because the way you start the day is how you start the game. You know, when you start a game off slow, if it's a basketball or a football game, the team that starts off slow and they talk about you're a second half team, you can always recover later on in the game. You can always recover later on in the day. But it is more to your benefit when you start the day off on a high note. Despite the fact that your situation may not be ideal, you can take control of that situation in the early morning. And when you take control of that situation in the early morning, what you are doing is you have assessed the problem already in your head. It might be a money problem. It might be a personal problem. It might be an entrepreneurial problem. You have already assessed the problem. You already know it's there. The problem has not evaporated. It's been on your mind since the day before. All night it's been there. But because you assessed the problem, now you are addressing the problem immediately, which means you are not running from it, because running from it is not going to save you. But what is going to save you is addressing it head on and attacking it. You are going to attack this problem. You have to see what you're dealing with, because once you see what you're dealing with, now you can achieve the end goal in due time, because you can implement a plan, ladies and gentlemen, and execute that plan, because that plan is what's going to help you take control of the situation. It's all about attacking it head on. You assessed it because it's already in your head. You know what's going wrong. And when you know what's going wrong, now you can address the problem that's going wrong. And so you can implement a plan to right that problem and achieve it in due time. And you have to do that for everything that's nagging at you. I know that sounds like a tall task. I know that sounds like a headache. I know that sounds overwhelming. But what I'm telling you is every small step moves you closer to achieving and getting over that problem in due time. Every little thing that you do matters. And once you get over that problem, now you're going to feel a sense of encouragement. Now you're going to feel a sense of accomplishment. And now you're going to see that that problem that has been such a mountain, such a giant, such a Goliath in your life is really nothing but an ant. And you are the elephant, because you become bigger than the problem every single time you attack it and address it. Every single time you fill yourself up. Every single time you do something for yourself. You know what the problem is. You know what's bothering you. You know why this situation is making you depressed. And since you know what it is, you know what you can do to get closer and closer to overcoming it. Now, that sounds very vague. I get it. But it's practical. Because it doesn't matter if it's a monetary problem. It doesn't matter if it's an emotional problem. It doesn't matter if it's a family problem. It doesn't matter if it's a personal problem. It doesn't matter if it's a business problem. It doesn't matter what type of problem it is. The steps are still practical because it's being played over and over in your mind. And because you know what the problem is, you know how to address the problem. But the situation is taking control of you because you're running from it, because you don't want to attack it head on, because you don't want to address it. You have to address it. And once you address that problem, now you can formulate a plan to execute that plan and achieve everything you need to achieve over that problem. And every little step gives you more confidence. As I continue to write my novel, it felt like a chore when I wrote my first two. It truly did. And I dreaded it for a long time, but I'm grateful to God that I got it done and I got both of them published, 2018, 2021, respectively. Right now, I have some situational depression because there are some situations that have taken hold of me. But I assessed the problem, and now I'm addressing the problem. And in due time, I know I'm going to achieve it and overcome the problem. But what's been helping me in the midst of that is my escape has been the current novel I'm writing. It doesn't feel like a chore like the first two. It feels like an escape. I'm eager to do it. I told myself I'm going to write 1,136 words every single day. 1136 is what I call it. And I am proud to say that for the past month, I have been meeting that daily goal of 1,136 words. In fact, yesterday I crushed it and I went over 2,000 words. That's because my creativity is flowing. That's because I am doing what I can to take control of the situation. And the more confidence I get as I see the word count grow for my novel, the more confidence I get to attack and address the other problems in my life. Yes, the problems are still there right now as I speak, but they are not going to be there much longer because I am more powerful than the problems that face me. You are more powerful than the problems that face you, and you have to believe it. You have to believe in the unseen because the unseen is what reigns over what we do see. What you do see, the problems that you see, that is, cannot amount to the faith that you cannot see, but the faith that you can feel swirling through your veins and in your spirit. You have to continue to trust yourself, continue to trust God, and continue to believe that God is going to give you the resources and the power to get over these problems just as in the past. Situational depression. Do not allow these situations to take control of you any longer. You take control of the situation. So if this podcast has benefited you in any way, shape, or form, I ask for two things as always. Number one, please leave a 5-star review. And number two, please pass it on to a friend who may benefit from it as well. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great week. I'll talk to you again soon.